Hello everyone again and welcome. So in my last video, it was based on installing Arrow and Arrow Studio. And I did mention that in this course, we must be using Arrow Studio because of the easy IDE that it has. So let's continue with Arrow Studio. We are going to be looking at how the Arrow Studio environment looks like. We are going to also look at the what we call variables and functions on how to run basic programs. So I've launched Arrow. You can always type that in I don't want to save these. Just I want us to just start a new program. None of these. I'm not saving that. No, don't save. So I want us to start up a new Arrow interface. I'm going to So when you launch Arrow, you should be seeing, is it Arrow Studio? Let me just go to new and start a new script. You should be having this environment. So what we have at the top right here, we call it the environment plane. And then within this environment plane, we have the second panel here. We have where we have our plot that show off. And then we have the this other bottom left panel, which we call it the console pane, and then we have this other one, which is we call it the script where we write our code. So you should always master it when we run the code where we have this environmental pane. We will see, the output sometimes show up in this environment. So as our first, we are going to be looking at what we call variables and functions in R. I did mention the other day that the way we assign a variable in programming is just like it's like a placeholder for data. So we can use it to store data, and then also we can use it to refer to a data set that as we go on, we will see how to read data set in R and then try to manipulate that data, do some plotting, and then do some statistical analysis. So there are two ways we can assign data to a variable. I did mention in the previous video, you can use the equal to sign, assign as equals to 4, x equals 4. So either you use that or you use this less than sign and a line to assign this variable. So if we do that, let's say we assign that variable 45, we will have this run. The run option is found at the console where we write our code. So if I run this, we should see this appearing here. This is the environment. We should see that output here, and also see where we have the what we call the console pane as well as the script. So now you can keep doing this because we are having different variables. So let's call it, if I have multiple variables to assign, we can use let me say some data. If I have like a vector that we have seen, we know what a vector is. A vector is just like if we have a combination of different numbers. I don't want to look at vector here as we do it more like in sciences, where we call a vector as having some direction. A vector here is just simply be a data where if we have like a particular, maybe we collected data for the height of students in a class, and then we wanted to input that data in R, we can use the a C here simply means like a collection of different values from that variable height. So we can do 45 as we did last time. We can do 40. Let's say we can do 63. We can do 80, and then we can do maybe 12. Now, when we keep running this, we will see how we can do different manipulations with this data. So, and also we can do some addition, we can do some subtraction and all the like. Let's say I wanted to do some y where I want to do y is equals to some x. I already have x up there plus let's say plus 4. If I run this now, you see that y is now showing us what? If you look at here, we should be having y as 49 because x here was what 45. So 45 plus 4, it should be 49. And then we can try different things in here. We can still try, let me say, assign a different variable z, which is remember, you can use either this less than sign and the line, or you can just use the equal to sign to assign these variables or numbers to that placeholder. So if I do our x plus x and then and run it, we should still find that x plus x here is what 45 plus 45, which is 90. Now that is the basic way we can we can do different manipulations. We can input these, assign these variables, and then do whatever thing we want to do. One thing you have to note here is that R is very case sensitive, like in any programming language. What name you give to a variable, you have to be very careful. Let's say if you use X, use A, or use B, you have to be consistent. And remember that the variable name you use. Let's say if I was going to do something like income, and I assign that income, I give it maybe 100, and then I set taxes onto that is assigned to maybe 20. And then I want to look at the net income, which will be income minus the taxes. So one thing you have to note here is that if I just do net and then I give space here and then I do income, let's see what R is going to say. I want us to actually walk through this, and let's say we are having the income. No, income minus income minus taxes. So let's run this line of code. Let's first of all run this, and this. You see, it is giving us an error here because in R is case sensitive. It doesn't recognize this space that I'm giving. So the best way to do it is to use an underscore. So you have to be very careful on what. If I use an underscore, the arrow is not going to see that space. So if I call back that net income, if I just do net underscore income, it should come out. And then if I run this, you should see that it becomes what? It becomes 80. You have to be very, very careful with this because arrow is very, very case sensitive. As we move on to maybe Python and all those things, it will be the same thing. It's either you do not give this space and just keep it like net income without that space, or if you want to put net income to actually let people understand what you're doing, it's always good to go with this underscore. Because if you just keep it like net income, people might not actually understanding what you're trying to do, which is, it's always good to be consistent with R in whatever thing you're doing. So one thing, that is how to assign if you have multiple values, like in the case of height that you collected for students in a class, you have to put it in the form of a vector, which that vector is represented by what? C, meaning that I have multiple values to be assigned to that variable. Like in the case of data here, if I run it, I can do different things for data. As we are going to see, I did mention that we can do a box plot of that data. We are going to see these box plots later. And I did mention here that you can do horizontal is equals to true. Horizontal equals to true because by default the box plot will be vertical. So if I run what is oh yeah, box plot, please. Box plot. Run this. We should see that box plot here is now appearing horizontal. But if I remove this, if I put something like false here, it will take the default format, which is what it will be. Run this. It will be vertical. Yeah. So most of the time that is what we'll be seeing. And then one thing you have to note again is what I did mention about vectors. Like vectors is like if I want a vector is more like having a particular variable taking multiple numbers, like it could be the age of people in a bookstore, it could be the age of people in a class, it could be the height of persons in a class, because you don't want to say, okay, I have like if I consider the age of people in a class and I say age person person underscore 1, and I keep assigning this one as, let me say, I assign 28, and then I do age person underscore 2. I assign another value, which is like 48. If you keep doing this, it will be taking a lot of time. Instead of doing this, you already know that those are age of people in a particular class or maybe in a particular community. The best way to do is to put it in form of a vector where you can just call it age and then assign those values. C, you use C to represent a vector. You can just do, let me say, 28. You can do 48. You can do 47. You can do 71, for example. You can do 22. You can do 80. You can do 48. You can do 30. And you can do like 31. So this is the best way. Instead of using this format like saying age with person 1, it's better to put it in form of what? A vector. Now, most of the times, most data sets are either in form of this vector or in terms of what we call what? A data frame. Now, most of the times, we will see data set in real life to be what? To be in form of what we call a data frame, which is like having, maybe you have a data set that is made of age of persons in the class, the height of people in that class. It could be prices of books included. And, like if you have like data that is made up of multiple vectors, then we have to put it in a combined format, which we call it what? A data frame. Remember, with this age of persons, there are many things I can do. So if I want to, for example, multiply every number there by 12, I can do it. I can just say age underscore month, and I do age multiply by 12. Let's see what we get. Let me run this age and then run this other one, age, and then let's see what we get as age underscore month. So if you look at age underscore month here, you see that every value in age here is multiplied by what? It's multiplied by 12. If you take 12 multiplied by 28, you're going to have 336 and so on. So that is how we talk about vectors. You can look at now. Let's say we have this age vector, and then we want to look at maybe the purchases that people with those particular age group, they might have bought books in a bookstore. And let's say they purchase items in a bookstore based on the age. So let me have another vector. One thing you have to know here is that it's always a good habit to make sure that the number of items found in each vector, if you want to merge them into a data frame, make sure that they are of the same length. Same length in the sense that if you have 10 items, like in the case of each, you should also have 10 items in the case of the purchases. If that is not the case, we are going to move into cases what we call missing values, and how we can dictate missing values as we go on. So let me say I have 20 here, I have 59, and I have 2, I have 12. I'm just considering everything here to be in dollars, not in francs. I have 160, I have 34, I have 34, and then I have what? 29. So now, if I want to put the ages as well as the purchases, I will have to put it like in a bookstore, which will put it in form of what I call what? A data frame, which is like combining multiple vectors together. Now, if I do, for example, I do bookstore, and then I assign now. Since I'm doing it in form of a data frame, I can just do data dot frame, and then I pass in those two vectors, which is age and what? And purchase. Now let's see what we're gonna have now. What did I do? Okay, I didn't run this. Please just, sorry. Run this, run. So we see that we are now having, if I can do head. Head just means you want to just see the first few columns in that data set. We are going to see and run it. Let's see. You see that if I do head, by default in R, it's going to only give you the first 6 rows in that data. And if there are multiple like maybe say 100 rows, you can only see, if you do head, you are going to see only the first 6 of them. So we can see here that we are now having a data frame which is making up of what, ages and what, and the purchase. Here with this data frame, we can do what we call a scatter plot based on ages and what, and the purchase that they made. Let me say I just want to do like the XYZ plot we do. I can say age on the X, and then Y axis I put what they are purchased. You can do this if you want to. Because I've put it in this, the best practice, I just want us to do this Tilda bookstore. If I want to extract a column there, what I'm going to do, I'll do the $sign and then I pick H and then I do book. If I want to pick the next column, I just do $sign. It's going to always appear, and then you take that and then you run it. Run this. So you see that we are having, like, you see, this is more like a scattered plot. We are going to see as time goes on how we can draw a line linking the relationship between these. We can see some basic point here, which is like more like an outlier. We are going to see all of this. That is it for today, guys. I'm going to keep recording another video which will continue on the variables and functions. And after that, we are going to look at packages, and then next with descriptive statistics. And then we'll go to plotting numerical values and so on. So keep following me for more. And as I did mention, this is a good lesson. It is free. Make sure that you follow. If you have any question, you can practice this and do multiple exercises. I think I also sent a book which is in form of a link. You can click on that link. There are a lot of exercises there. Even the book I sent on Arrow, you can do more of those exercises there to practice more. If you have any question, you can always reach out to me and I'll be able to answer them. Thank you so much, and bye for now.